My show. My show. The whole my show. My show. The whole my show. The whole DMI show. 100-pound lyric killer. It's the whole DMI show. DMI show.
Yo, what the fuck is up, everybody? This is motherfucking Hulk DMI, and I'm here on the Hulk DMI show. I'm your host for tonight, and we have special guest, Xtreme Street Preacher, also known as the XSP, in the building tonight. We're going to talk about some of the stuff he's been doing, some of the stuff he's got coming up. We're just going to talk about different things in his life and what's going on with him. So if you guys have any questions tonight, go ahead and hop in the comments and let me know what you want to ask XSP, and I will ask him, or we'll flash your comment up on the screen and you can ask him yourself, you know. But without further ado, let's bring on XSP.
Yo, what up, man? What's going on?
Yo, what's up, XSP? How you doing, man?
Man, I'm just living life. I'm doing good. I'm happy to be on your show, my brother.
Nice. I'm happy to have you here, man.
Yeah, man. I know it's we met, we disconnected for a little bit. It seemed like we reconnected on that Juggalo Juice show. I realized you were still alive. You realized I was still alive and doing things, and we're reconnecting now, and I'm happy about it, man.
Yeah, man, I wouldn't say as much disconnected as just, I mean, we both got busy lives and stuff, you know, like, we didn't have no beef or anything like that, but, you know, we just hadn't talked for a minute, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, man, busy lives and different schedules taking us to different places, but we're here now, we're in the same place, and we're back at it.
Right. So let's start off with a good question, man. Why don't you tell everybody who is XSP?
The XSP is a singer, a rapper, a writer, a beat maker, a guitar player. I do heavy metal music. I do rap music. I'm involved in community outreach. I'm involved in Juggalo outreach. Basically just somebody who has an extreme style of music with a positive message.
Nice.
That's in a nutshell.
And how would you say you're extreme? What makes you extreme?
Well, my music is not like everybody else's. My message isn't like everybody else's. So when it comes to, let's say I'm in a room, or I'm in a concert and everybody's talking about death, I'm the one talking about life. So I'm on the other extreme of the spectrum. So I've been in places where, you know, everybody has the subject matter of, you know, I'm going to cut this person's head off or do this or that, and I'm over here like, hey, Jesus died for you so that you don't have to do that. So I'm out here, basically what the name says, is a preacher. So I come in with the gospel message, but I come in with live guitars. I come in with yelling. I come in with just an in-your-face approach to the message of the Most High God. So that's what makes me different and extreme.
Yeah, it really seems like you're kind of closely associated with like the horrorcore Juggalo scene and genre, you know. But like you said, you know, you do it a little bit different. What made you want to go that route and go to one genre but do it a completely different way than everybody else is doing?
Well, so the way that came about that was I was definitely heavily influenced by Insane Clown Posse, Psychopathic, Xtreme, all the people you may know, Scum of LSP. Actually, we're really good buddies, even right now, and I've done many shows with them. And one of the things that I said when I was younger, and I actually received Jesus in my life, so I want to reach people who are like me. And so I feel that this message is for everybody. I feel that this message is for the craziest of people, but you can also be on that other side of the spectrum, like I said. So when I started to write music, I was writing with the guy who wanted to do more East Coast style stuff and like do some Nas type intellectual rap. But I'm like, nah, I'm not feeling that. So eventually I separated from that dude, and I said, you know, I'm gonna make my own beats. I want to do more like my favorite production was always Mikey Clark, and then a little while after, you know, listening to Isham putting samples of guitars. I had already known how to play guitar for a couple of years, so when I started making beats, I was like, I want to do this energetic style that I come to know and love, but I want to do it in a way that I can reach people that like I said, like how I was, who like to hear that violent stuff, but I'm gonna do a violent thing on the other side. Not only that, but hearing sermons and things like the churches, the church that I belong to, they'll talk about like, you know, the blood of Jesus. It's a horrific imagery, blood, lashes, all kinds of stuff like that. So like you see this horrific imagery and Bible stuff, and I'm just basically taking that and putting it over a beat. You know, the story of David and Goliath, you have, you know, David at the end cutting the giant's head off. That's the kind of stuff I'm about. So when I'm hearing these sermons, I'm like, man, I got to put these to beats and really bring it to somebody like that. So kind of the way ICP did with the unveiling, you know, they say that we snuck it in subliminally with that wicked around it. So I'm taking this art form, this imagery, and I'm putting that positive spin on it. So that's where that came. So basically stemming from the where I came from, what I used to listen to, but wanting to bring a more positive message into that community.
Yeah, and I guess that ties in with the second part of your name, street preacher.
Right.
You're trying to spread a message out here through your music. Is that like the only thing that you're trying to do with your music is spread a message to people, or are you trying to like prove something to yourself? Or
well, you know, I've always been into music, so obviously music is an outlet to express who you are, what you're going through. So it's not just me preaching, but it's also me venting and in ways I can, because believe it or not, you know, I'm not always received by every Christian that I meet, especially doing this kind of music. You know, they look at the imagery. Like just the other day on Facebook, I posted an image of a song called "Chop 'Em Down," and I get in my comments, "This is satanic." I said, "Hey man, like, have you heard the song?" "No, I haven't." I said, "Well, if you listen to the song, it's talking about chopping devils down by living for Jesus." And not only that, but like I said earlier, David and Goliath's story, that's the winner was David, and he was chopping off the giant's head. So this is what I'm doing on my song. I'm chopping devil heads off by living for God. And that's how you do that. That's how you defeat an enemy. You by getting victory through Jesus. So I'm not always received by every Christian or every person who says they follow Jesus, but you know, so I fight back with that, you know, and I have scriptural references for everything that I all the lyrics that I do, or it's come from a life experience. So the way that I see things, I come from a Christian worldview. So everything is viewed through the lens of how I perceive things. So a lot of it is how I deal with my issues and how I deal with my struggles, how I get my own triumphs. So music is the outlet to express what God has done in my life. Not only that, but that He can do the same thing in anybody else's life. So it's definitely about the message, but also about venting my personal experience with God.
yeah, and so when you're preaching with your music, do you also preach in church, or is it just with your music? Like, and
Man,
do you think that you could ever play your music in your church? Have you ever done that before? Or
man, absolutely. See, the church that I go to, man, that's where it all sprang from. Actually, even the name XSP was given to me because of my actions before I even became a rapper. So I would take a bullhorn, go out into the street corners, start preaching, start letting people know that God loves them, that there's a wonderful God who can save you and take you out of the craziest times in your life, and He wants to, and He wants to love you, but in a way of my own personality. So they started calling me Xtreme Street Preacher. And that was the thing that we would do, and I still do to this day. This is not a gimmick. Like people might think music, music is a gimmick. It's not a gimmick for me. Like I actually do take it to the streets. Matter of fact, today I was just out in Seguin, Texas, and we were in a neighborhood passing out flyers, giving invitations to church services, praying with people in their cars. Like people would stop, like they were stopping cars, like, "Hey, you want a flyer?" And then they start talking to them, say, "Hey, can you pray with me, man? I need something new in my life." So actually today I was actually on the streets of Seguin, Texas, literally praying with people in their cars, man, like giving people hope while they're passing through the neighborhoods and like that's that from where I come up, man. It's not a gimmick. This is what I do. It's my lifestyle. It's what I've come to know and what I know that works and I know it works in my life. And I challenge anybody, man, to give God a try and give Jesus a try, man. But this isn't a gimmick though, man. This is something I do to this very day, and it's been like 20 years. So,
Yeah.
I definitely stand on what I talk about, stand on what I believe.
Nice, nice. And so, whenever you're not making music about, religion and God and Jesus, what other songs are you making? What kind of music do you make?
I do some heavy metal music, and I've done songs with you. I like wrestling, you know what I mean? So, everyone, I'll throw references of wrestling in my music. And like I have a song called Curb Stomp. Initially, it's about curb stomping devils, but the curb stomp comes from Seth Rollins. That's his finishing move. So it's like, oh, the announcers be like, that's a devastating curb stomp. And it's that kind of energy too. I put that in my music because I love wrestling and I love the pageantry of it. I love the athleticism. Back at one time, I wanted to be a wrestler, so that's my way of living vicariously as a wrestler through my music.
Nice.
I love different things like that, and the songs that we've done together, like Mortal Kombat. I'm into fighting games when I can get into them. When I don't really play video games a whole lot, but if somebody has like a PlayStation or whatever the game system is now, I'll enjoy that. I like fighting games. I like watching a good cage match. You know what I mean? A tables, ladders, and chairs match. So I'll put in different stuff like that in my music, man. I like energy. I like talking about good times. I like talking about sad times. You know what I mean? So it all depends, man. I'm really willing to work with anybody as long as they'll meet me halfway.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? Like I'm not one to judge people. I kind of work with people where they're at, and I really just try to connect with people. That's really where I'm about. I like to connect with people where they're at, whether it be in the street, whatever it is, as long as it's not gonna defile my own personal beliefs. You know what I mean? So, but I'll keep it 100. On anything that I do.
Yeah, man, you always got to keep it 100, and that's really good that you're spreading your message out there and trying to connect with people, like even if it's not people that you would typically try to connect with on any other level, you're getting out there and connecting with them.
Definitely, man. So real quick, one of the things that when I used to have long hair, braids all the time, black fingernails, so I know what it is, man. And I wanted to look intimidating, but deep down inside, I was hurting because I grew up in a broken home, man. And I know that the way people look on the outside is not necessarily the way they are on the inside. So, I could go up to the biggest, craziest person, tattoos, gauges, whatever the case is, and I'll let them know that Jesus loves them, and I'll let them know that, and that's one of the things, man. I'm not afraid to do it. Now, some churches may look at that person, hey, man, they're too far. They can't be talked to, or they can't be approached. But I know that that's not true, man, because I've seen it totally different, and I give love to those people, man. That's
Yeah,
part of my
you never
ministry.
want to you never want to judge a book by its cover. Like the biggest, craziest looking person might be the biggest heart in the room. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We got a question here from the comments. Somebody
All right.
watching live. We got Nedden Spreader 17 said Run DMC was the gods of not rapping in the typical explicit way we are used to. Are you following in their footsteps or in that same level?
I would say this, man. I just watched Crush Groove the other day, and it's funny that question. Actually, Fat Boys, Run DMC, Will Smith and Vanilla Ice were super big influences when I initially first started listening to hip hop. So, like, my brother was is 4 years older than me, and he brought in a lot of stuff from what he was listening to. So he was probably like maybe 14. I was like 10 years old, maybe even younger. And, you know, we were listening to Nightmare on My Street. We were listening to the Fat Boys talk about doing that stuff. So, yeah, that's definitely an influence in the early days. But as far as like, I just don't cuss in my natural life, man. Like in my regular life, I don't cuss. I'm a teacher by trade. So I definitely gotta keep my vernacular, if you will, very clean in a regular living space, so it just translate. And I read a lot, man. I read a lot of books, so a lot of the stuff that I read is it's not explicit laced. So naturally, the things that you put in your head, man, that's what's gonna come out. So it's just basically all those influences from different places and being professional are putting your rap. But definitely, those things were definitely an influence. Run DMC, Fat Boys, like I said, Vanilla Ice, a lot of those, Will Smith, a lot of those were super big influences, like in the '90s when I was coming up. So definitely, man, that's a good question. That's cool. I like that.
Yeah, man. I actually 2 episodes. I had a guest, Wild Wild West, who was talking about how he was raised heavily Christian, heavily religious, and he said one of the biggest influences that got him rapping. I don't remember what the group was called that he was talking about, but he said that they had a song that he thought was really funny, where they were like essentially cussing, but without using cuss words, and it
Yeah, I
was
know we're talking about that. Yeah,
it was a Christian
I saw
group.
that. I saw the episode. That's cool, man. Anything to get you inspired. So like, yeah, man, I pull influences from a lot of different people, and I didn't grow up in a religious environment. Like, don't get me like I've been living this for 20 years, yes, but like my dad was a dope dealer. You know, my parents would argue all the time. Like I said, I came from a broken home. My parents were on the verge of divorce, or they were divorced. And they would fight a lot. So I've seen a lot of violence in my time, and I've seen a lot of different things. I could have gone the route of you know, the same thing, dealing drugs, slanging, whatever the case. And but I just saw that what that did to him, and I kind of made a decision early on to be straight edge. And that's more like of a punk rock thing, or it emerged from that punk rock scene. But that I definitely from an early age decided to be straight edge, but I wasn't like, I didn't give my life to Jesus then. It's just like, but from an early age, I did decide to be straight edge. So that's where that came from, seeing what the things that happened with my dad and my mom, and a lot of it was fueled by, you know, weed, cocaine, alcohol. So all that stuff, I kind of like said, I'm not going to do that, but I still grew up to be a violent and angry young man. And but until God met me, that's when everything changed.
And let's dive in that a little bit, man. How was it for you growing up and as a kid and everything? And exactly when did that change take place in your life?
So from dude, as long as I can remember, actually, what my mom tells me is my dad actually kidnapped me, because they weren't living together, but he kidnapped me from where I was, and he held me for a couple of days. He wouldn't give me back to her. So, and I was probably like 3 years old. It's like I really don't remember that time period, but if you can kind of put it in perspective, I've been having that kind of a lifestyle where it's not really quite right. So from about 10 years old is when I really got super, like, not really rebellious, so to speak, towards anybody, but really towards authority. My dad was wild back then. My dad's passed away since, but he got his life straight in his later end of his life. But from the early parts of my life, man, like as far as I can remember, it would be 7 years old. I'm telling the police report to the cops, and really just like having to grow up kind of quick, not really having much of a childhood because I was having to deal with my parents fighting. And like, I'm not talking about just verbally fighting; they would physically fight. You know, there'll be bruises and blood, and at one point, my dad threw my mom through a window. So it was definitely, I grew up in a very violent and broken home. So I seen that, and then also my mom trying to take us to church. We're just like, oh man, how is this all true if this is happening in our life? You know what I mean? But I didn't realize at the time that the sin in people's lives destroys everything. You have to really personally give yourself. So from about 10 years old, I started to claim to not believe in God. early, and then later on, like 11, started getting into heavy metal music, saying that I was a Satanist at one point, then saying I was an atheist at one point, and really my brother's named Jason Garcia. He's actually a missionary right now in Nicaragua. So and he actually was the one that sparked the interest, because he had gotten radically touched by God, and he was telling us about it. We're like, hey man, like step off with that. You know what I mean? I was like, I know where you come from. You know where we come from. That none of that stuff can be real. But he would just kept loving me and kept saying, hey man, like give this a try. You don't understand. Like, so eventually I went to this boot camp in Yorktown, Texas, and it was run by the church that I belonged to, and it was basically like a military style boot camp. So I went in with my long hair. I actually had a beard at the time. I was like maybe 13 or 14, no, 14 going on 15. And
You had a
in
beard at
between that,
13?
yeah, like pretty much, yeah. It's
Damn.
crazy. I don't even know how, but yeah, I had like a Abraham Lincoln thing going on back then. I was probably 14, more accurate. But um, basically, what they did was like a lot of military style, like push ups, sit ups, running, calisthenics, waking you up at 5 o'clock in the morning, whether it's raining or whether it's nice weather and you're out there. And so basically, what that was doing was breaking down the kind of the exterior, so to speak. And then there would be church twice a day. And I remember in the middle of the week, like really just surrendering my life to Jesus. And I was 14 going on 15. And from then on, like I just been living for Jesus since. I said I didn't really grow up in a church, but I don't consider like 15 enough. Like that's where you're kind of turning into a young adult. So so I make the decision, I'm gonna live for God, man, and I'm gonna take the hurt and the pain that I felt when I didn't have Jesus, and I'm gonna show people that they don't have to live that way. And I'm gonna let people know that they don't have to live that way. And at first, I was a little more aggressive because I still had a lot of anger in me. But like I feel that God even used that to help some people and see me change. And I've seen so many different people over the course of my years change their lives. And that's where I first started rapping. Actually, it was in the church. And the church that I belong to, man, like I said, the sermons would be like talking about David and Goliath, talking about the blood of Jesus, talking about like there would be some priest be like, we need to kick the devil in the teeth. And I get stuff like that, you know what I mean? And so all the imagery was going through my mind, like, man, this is very like horrorcore-ish, you know what I mean? Like like the imagery's there. So that's when I first started getting the beginning works of trying to rap and trying to infuse the two things together. And then not only that, but they were doing like covers of Black Sabbath songs, and they were just changing the words. So I was like, well, if they're doing like heavy metal in here, then maybe I can do my own brand. Because when I wasn't, I had started playing guitar like probably at 12 years old, and I had started a thrash band that was kind of along the lines of Slayer. And I would talk about all the horrorcore style stuff, zombies and different things. And I was like, well, I mean, if they can do Black Sabbath and just change the words, then I can do my own brand of what I'm already doing, and just let the message be more what it is. So, and I'm glad I ended up in the church that I am. It's called the Door Christian Fellowship, and because they've helped me to give expression in that sense and didn't shut it down. And that's one of the things that I'm very grateful for of the fellowship that I belong to, is that that they didn't shun me for wanting to think outside the box. When it comes like when you see most religious churches, or most churches, like say a Baptist church or a Catholic church or what have you, they're very traditional. They don't like to go outside of the box that they're set in. But the church that I belong to, we don't believe that you can put anybody in a box and people can be reached in any way. So I don't know if that was long-winded. Sorry, I hope that answered the question. I think I kind of took it in different directions, but that's
You're good, man.
basically what it is that because of the freedom that I had not had, but have currently in my church, I'm able to do those songs like I have a song called Chop 'Em Down, where it's very horrorcore influence, but also very much the gospel. I'll talk about hanging the devil from a noose type stuff. And So, and they're all for it too. You know, nobody's ever like questioned like, what are you saying? It's always been like, yeah, man, we're all about that too. You know, so I'm glad that, again, like that I ended up in the fellowship that I did, because they've helped me and given me a lot of freedom, where maybe a church that's kind of stuck in that like thinking inside the box would not give me. So I'm very grateful for that.
Do you think maybe you could like spit a little bar or two from one of these hardcore religious songs so we can kind of get an
Yeah, yeah,
idea of what you're talking about for the
yeah.
people that haven't heard you before?
I got a Kevlar skull, so put a bullet in my dome. Laugh, shake it off, wait for the Lord to take me home. Matter of fact, got reinforcements for the fight. A million archangels prepared to make it get right. It's my life, right? Now don't get it twisted. We all borrow life, and that time is limited. When I pray, you know I speak in tongues, so only God knows what's going on. I hold an axe under the devil's chin. Lord, help me slice his face so he don't tempt me again.
Nice,
So
nice. Hey,
that kind
that's
of that
clean,
kind of
man.
that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? Like, and they're all for it, and I love it, because that's the kind of stuff I love doing, man. And
And going back to what Ned and Spreader was saying earlier, you know, about Run DMC and everything, and what you were saying about the preachers and how they get up there with that real attitude, you know, that real energy. Like you
yeah,
can definitely tell it when you're spitting. You know, you got that.
thank you, man. Like, yeah, definitely. That's a lot of the influence, man. Not only just the horrorcore scene and the energy they bring, but definitely, man. I come from a Pentecostal, and so they're always, you know, like hyped, and sometimes they'll sing when they preach, or they're trying to get the point across. So that's exactly what I'm trying to do, man. Just trying to bring my point in a very vibrant and extreme way, because man, I wouldn't want to be in a church where somebody's trying to tell you that they're happy, but they look super sad, or they're
Yeah.
trying to tell you that God has power, but they look like they don't have no power at all, like they just woke up or something. Nah, I'm not about that, because I believe that God is a lot greater than that. He has more power than that, and He gives people that same energy. And so I feel that God does that for me, and He can do that for anybody else.
Nice. So let me ask you now, man, like if you were to introduce yourself to somebody right now only using songs, only using music, and you're gonna play one song from yourself and three songs from three different other artists, what would you pick in that category, that playlist?
Oh man, it's hard because I do different genres. So let me say I would say listen to hold up. I would say listen to this album right here. Like, I would say this album right here. I don't know if y'all can see it that well. It's called Hell's Most Wanted. It's kind of glary, but it's called Hell's Most Wanted, and that's basically like what I'm all about. Like, Hell's Most Wanted. I want to be the one that when in the supernatural realm, when I come around, I want hell to get scared. So, and all the songs, like I Murder Demons, like that's one of the songs that I would say is a go-to. But also, like, on the other end, like I do also heavy metal. So I mean, I know you said only one song, but there, like, I do multiple genres. So this one, Bloody Mess, and I Murder Demons. So I Murder Demons for the rap end, and Bloody Mess on the heavy metal end. For me, like what I like to do as a rapper and as a musician. And then as far as like um other genres or other rappers, it's hard, man, because it's like it's not just, I don't just do one genre. But I would say Infected by Demon Hunter is one. And also on the rap end, I would say there's a guy named Man of War, and he has a song called Savior. It's a short song, but he brings it so ridiculously hard, and it has like this really like orchestral beat, and he's like, "I decrease, Father, please increase," and it's like he's bringing it with like this passion. And so that would be the second one. And then another on the rap end would be maybe like Tapatio from Red Cloud. That's he was on Syntax Records for a while. He's doing things independently now, but Red Cloud, Tapatio, because that's kind of like a gangster feel, and I came up in, like I said, that old school hip hop / gangster rap. So that would be something that I try to incorporate. Actually, that's an album that you were on, Gospel Gun. that album was really influenced by West Coast gangster rap. And how many did you say? 4 or 3?
Shit, as many as you want, man. We're here today on the whole DMI show to talk about you, find out about you. I want everybody that's never heard about you before to get a good feel of who you are. I want
Okay.
everybody that knows you well and greatly to know more about you and learn
Right.
some stuff
So
they don't know already. So
another influence, as far as like on the Christian side, because there's like I have influences on both sides. You know what I mean? I have influences on the Christian side. I got influences on the hardcore side and other rap. But Mortification would be a good band that I really really love. Actually, that's the first Christian heavy metal group that I really looked up to, and a song would be DWAM. Daniel was a master. It's kind of a hybrid mix of punk and metal. And on the horrorcore end, I don't know what song, but like ICP, obviously. But like maybe early ICP or like really Chicken Hunt. That's the one that really solidified like me in the Juggalo world as far as Chicken Hunt and the remix with the guitars in it. So that's one of the things that really I was like, whoa, wait a minute, you can do that in rap? Because up until that point, I never heard anything with guitars. At least I didn't recognize those kind of guitars. So Chicken Hunt and the Slaughterhouse Mix.
hey, I know
So
this
that's
is
like
a pretty big question within Juggalos in the Juggalo community, but on that note, when did you hear about ICP? When did you start getting into them?
okay. So that's another thing with my brother, man. So back in about 1997, I think 1996, 97, there was a movie called The Great White Hype. I don't know if you remember that. It has Damon Wayans, and he's like this out of shape boxer. So I don't know if you ever heard of that, but it was 1997, man. So they had a soundtrack, and the soundtrack had Bone Thugs and Harmony, had other like West Coast guys, maybe some other like kind of more or along the lines of those signs like R&B. And for whatever reason, ICP was on there because they stood out. I don't even know why they were on there. I think maybe the reason why they were on there though is because Damon Wayans fought this white dude, and this white dude had kind of like a punky kind of attitude. And so my brother got the tape, and I remember listening to it with him, and then all I heard was, and I was like, oh, what is this? And then, well, I'm heading down the Southern Trail, I'm going, but it was a no, there was like a remix with no cuss words, and so they had like funny sounds. They had funny sounds in between, or where the cuss words were. So I'm like, what in the world? Like, what is this? It already sound. First of all, the voices sound crazy different. The beats has super heavy guitars in it, and then there's sounds that like don't even belong. Like, it didn't even seem right. So I was like, man, this caught my attention because at that time I was in that real rebellious stage for about 90, about 97. I was about 12 years old, maybe if that, maybe 11, 12. So I was in that kind of like where I'm like, just forget everybody type, thing. So the music was catching my attention, and I was getting into like Metallica a lot and a lot of different thrash bands like Slayer and Testament. So, and I was learning how to play guitar too. So I was like, man, that really caught my attention. And then from there used to be a place called Sundance in here in my town in San Marcos, and like you could literally go there and be like, hey, do you have this group? And they'd be like, and they'd look up at all the tapes. Oh, here it is. So they didn't have no, take that back. I went to go look for ICP, and they show, oh yeah, this is the section, and it was tapes. It was cassette tapes, and I remember looking for Chicken Hunting, and for the I wrote it down from what was on the Great White Hype insert, and I wrote it down and said, so it said Chicken Hunt and Slaughterhouse Mix. So I went and looked it up, and sure enough, I found it, but I didn't have money at the time. I just wanted to know if it was there. And then I went back, and then it was gone. But I saw it was Riddle Box, and so when I went back and I was like, hey man, like y'all don't have this tape that I want anymore, but can y'all order it? And they're like, oh sure, man, like we can order anything you want. And so they ordered the Riddle Box tape, and it was the one with the orange tape. And so I got it, man. And when I got it, I fell in love, dude. Like I mean, I already fell in love with the with that one song, and then when I started hearing all the other stuff, it was like, man, like on that one, it's like even the way it starts, the Riddlebox intro was like with the turn the crank, and it was like, oh man, this on some storyteller type. And I had already been into Stephen King and Edgar Allan Poe when I was growing up and reading stuff in school, so it was like it was different. And I was into horror movies a lot at the time, and not only that, but Old Evil Eye is based off of Edgar Allan Poe's Telltale Heart. So I was like, man, there were parallels of stuff that I was already into. So eventually, it became every time my parents got paid, I'd be like, hey, I'm gonna go to Sundance. Let me see if I get my parents to buy another tape for me, if I can order another tape. And from then on, when I was in school, my brother would go and the tapes. I'd be like, hey, I got $8 or whatever for this tape. You know what I mean? I said I would have him see if he'd go drive and pick it up for me, and there would be waiting on my bed. You know what I mean? It'd be the Riddle box, or not Riddle box, but it'd be Carnival of Carnage, or it'll be the Tunnel of Love, or it'll be Malenko. So like kind of every month I would buy a different Joker's card or an EP. So from then on, my collection just grew. And then when I twisted and all that, obviously you start getting into the other, and it starts spreading out, and you see those other things that you're already into it. So it's like it just spreads and spreads, and you start looking for more. And that's how that started. And that started me in the Juggalo world, and grew my hair out. I was already growing my hair out, so I ended up seeing Twisted putting rubber bands in their hair, and I started putting rubber bands and braids. And from the West Coast stuff, you see, Snoop Dogg, with braids in his hair. So you're like, oh, I must do the braids in my hair, that kind of thing. You start dressing a certain way, the flannels with the button up, and you try to wear some Dickies, and you start kind of adapting or whatever. You adapting your style to the stuff you're into. So
Yeah.
now I have my own style, and I actually separated myself from that for a little bit, but when I started to see that even ICP were taking a different direction, I started tuning in again. And it ended up being where they kind of grew up as I grew up, and they kind of have a somewhat of a religious side to them as well. I mean, it's not full-fledged gospel, but it's definitely relatable. As they're getting older, I'm getting older. There's things you can still relate to. I try to pepper my my listening with a bunch of other different things. Growing up, you know what I mean. Like as an adult, you kind of don't always want to hear about people getting their heads cut off, but but you know what I mean? Like I have a daughter myself, and you kind of get a little softer on the how you feel and the way you handle your emotions. But you know what I mean? Like I still love the energy of that kind of music.
Yeah. So whenever you're not making music, whenever you're not preaching, I know we talked about those. What's some other things you like doing, man? What's some of your hobbies?
Man, I'm really boring, bro. I read a lot.
What do you like to read?
Well, right now, I'm actually going to classes for biblical studies and Christian studies, so I read a lot of that stuff. I love Stephen King. Even he has an element of the supernatural, or the main character, the heroes are like special needs kids or something like that. So I like
So you're
that.
not just into his movies; you like his books as well.
No. I rather read the book. I'm not really into movies. I don't really watch movies a whole lot. I'm just not really into TV in general. So like I listen to a lot of music. I read. I try to write. I wrote my own book. I'm writing another one right now. So I go to wrestling shows whenever they come around. I like local wrestling. I just love hanging out with my family, man.
You dropped a bombshell right there, and then you just kept going, man. You said you wrote a book, and then you didn't go on any more about it, man. What kind of book did you write?
So when I wrote this book, a lot of the school shootings were happening, and I work in a school. So during that time period, there was, like I said, a lot of school shootings. But I also had a kid that I work with, because I work with special needs kids, that was emotionally disturbed. That was his diagnosis. So he needed two people to be with him at all times. And I would sit in this glass box, and And so I would see kids come in and out. I would see parents and different adults come in and out. I'm thinking like, man, if somebody were to walk in here with a gun, I'd be dead because
Yeah.
it's a glass box. Everyone's seeing me. I'm right out in the open. There's really no protection. And so I'm thinking like, man, then like again at that time, people were really making a big fuss about people getting shot in school, and obviously that's a thing to be worried about as a parent. So I took all those things plus past things that have happened for me growing up, like Columbine shooting. There was another kid who decided to go kill his parents, plus his girlfriend's parents. And so I'm thinking about all this stuff, like how can I create something positive out of this thing that's going on? So I wrote this book, and it's called Shotgun Monday, and it's basically about a kid who he's bullied at school. He's kind of an outcast. He has a hard life at home. His dad is a veteran who has been dismembered, so he's taking pain pills all the time. His mom is distant from his dad, which makes her distant from him. He doesn't have a family support, and so he decides one day that he just can't take it no more. And because he everywhere he turns, he doesn't have any support. So, and along with him doing this, he picks up some other people along the way, and it kind of goes from there. But um, that's what it's about. But along all the gore and all the horror elements, there is a message of, you know, maybe that kid that you think is different, you shouldn't treat them with like they're the trash. Maybe you shouldn't treat them like they're insignificant. Every person is going through something, and you never know how they're going to react. I put a quote in there from the Joker actually, and it says, "All it took was one bad day," and so that it kind of the Joker says that in The Killing Joke. All it took is one bad day. Basically, his transformation from a normal person to the super evil villain that he is. So I kind of took that and incorporated it as well. But it have a message. It's just laced with a lot of violence, but
Yeah.
it's real. It's all based on real events and real happenings, and even like some of the protocol for what to do when there's a school shooter is in there. Because like I said, I work in a school, and that's something that we definitely talk about. Is something we practice as far as like protocols of what kids should do and things like that. So I kind of took all that and incorporated it into my book.
Nice. And where can people find that book?
The book is on Amazon. It's called Shotgun Monday. It's under my real name, PJ Garcia. It's Peajay Garcia, or you can get it through me. If you get it through me, it's a lot better because I don't have to pay Amazon all the kind of consignment style fees. So if you really want to support,
how can they get hold of you if they want to get it from you?
I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram at the XSP 238 on Instagram. Just DM me, or you can hit me up on Messenger on Facebook. You can look me up under the XSP Extreme Street Preacher, and just say you want the book, and I'll know what you're talking about. You can hit me up on Messenger.
And what about your music? If they want to get some of your music, I know you was holding up some CDs earlier.
Yeah,
if you want to show those again.
Yeah, man. I got another thing. I got another thing too. I forgot to mention, but I'll mention after this. So this is my heavy metal album. It's called Slaughterhouse Religion, and that title actually comes from a book that I read. Some people like to call Christianity or biblical Christianity a slaughterhouse religion because we talk about the blood of Jesus all the time. And this Hell's Most Wanted. This one's cool. It's kind of more horrorcore. Really, what inspired me the most for this album was like Dark Half and like melodic bands that are melodic horrorcore groups. So that came from that. And then this is my latest one. It's called Oh Death, Where's Your Sting? And if you can see, it's kind of like you passing through death and there's light at the end of the tunnel. I want to talk about this real quick because it's real special to me. My dad passed away during COVID time, and I was really, really messed up for a little while. And so when I wrote half of this album right at the beginning of COVID and right in the middle when my dad passed away. And so it's like me venting basically. I have a song on there called Damage. I have a song called The Outcast, and it's kind of how I felt at the time. and it's just real violent. And but toward the end, though, it gives a glimmer because I didn't stay in that dark shadow. You know, really, it's only Jesus that helped me out, man. And that's and I don't mean to be super religious or whatever, but really, it was only Jesus, man, because I was messed up. But
Yeah.
this making this album really helped me with that. Not only that, but prayer. And so you go kind of on a journey with me through this album, man, because I was really venting, man. That song "Damage" is really just about how, like, if COVID was a person, I would have murdered that person because my dad is precious to me, or he is and he was precious to me. And because we went through so much and literally fist fighting in the road, man, like crazy stuff. But when he got his life straight, I got my life straightened out. We connected on a different level. It was like, how could this even be, man? Because I had hate for him, but eventually I had a lot of love for him. And so this is kind of my journey through that, through what I was feeling during that time, and it ends with so much hope. There's something that my dad always used to say, and it's you know, anytime you're alive, you can make life better. And so the song called "Another Day Out the Grave" is about how anytime you're alive, you still have hope. You know, you still have hope in your life as long as you're not in the ground. And actually, my brother is on the chorus, so we both tag teamed on that. And it's like a tribute to my dad, and it's real special to me. And if anybody's out there, they've lost somebody, or you know, maybe they're distant from somebody, or they feel like there's no hope for somebody, I'm here to tell you there is hope for you, and that there is a light at the end of your dark tunnel, man. And there's definitely hope with Jesus. And if you even want to reach out to me, man, I'm willing to talk to anybody. And I believe that God can do a lot of things. So it's kind of a weird transition I'm about to make right now, but so one of the another thing that I'm into is card games.
Okay.
So I like different card games, like strategy games. I like, you know, I'm not into Uno. I hate Uno. You know, I like regular card games and like stuff that I have to really think. So there's this game that I played actually called Ringmaster, and it's I modeled a game. I made a game based off my music, but based kind of off the mechanics of Ringmaster. And so you can get this through me as well. So here I have different things. You
Hold
probably
on,
can't
man.
see it.
Let
You
me
can't really
let me give you
can't.
the whole screen. Hold on.
All right. So so here's so that everything is based off of kind of things that I've done. You know, there's Shock You, and it has a function on it. And here's a buddy of mine named Claydo. He's a playable character on there. You know, some other bonus shots. Another homeboy that I roll with, his name's Sick D. We've done a group called No Laughing Matter. That's a playable card. My podcast is a playable card. So basically, the idea of the game is to get a certain amount of a certain sequence of cards, and you could also say it's like Monopoly Deal if you've ever played that game. So this is fun, like for the whole family. You know, like I said, based off of my music. There's a let's see if I can get this right. Where's this camera? All right, so you know, little clips from my and you know the resurrected. You know, you can resurrect two cards, and you know different cards have different functions. It's a pretty cool game. I've tested it with people who are 60 to teenage years, and they all seem to get it and have fun. So if anybody is interested in that kind of card game, you know, I have that as well. It's called the XSP Extreme Rules game. So it's one of the things I want to make a an expansion on it with some of the people I've met, you know, recently, and some of the people I'm cool with, and make them playable cards as well. It's just I don't really see that much of a want for it right now. But if more people start asking for it, and more people start buying the decks, then I'll look into expanding it and adding some things to it. But you know, I love card games, man. It's one of the things I like doing in my free time. As well, I forgot to say, I love board games and card games. Honestly, real similar to what ICP does. Like it's just I'm on a different message. So um, you know, like I said, actually they sparked the interest back in the games because for a long time I didn't play games. Like I didn't grow up playing board games or card games, but when they put out Into the Echo side, I was really inspired, and started kind of digging into the styles of games. I really like deck builder games. It would take me a little bit more energy to make a deck building game, but that the gameplay on my game is more like Flux. If there's any card gamers out there, Flux is a game that kind of change with every card you pick up. So not only that, but the game Ringmaster kind of modeled after those types of games.
Nice.
But it's definitely something that I enjoy doing. I like games where you got to think. I like thinking. I'm a big thinker. So that's probably why I don't really watch movies like that. Sometimes I zone out if I'm watching a movie. I'd rather read. But
I mean, I think that's the point. Sometimes that's what I like to do. I mean, I zone out with video games though.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that too. If you're interested in that type of thing, you can hit me up and I'll get your prices or whatever. And as far as like outlets to listen to my music, I'm on every streaming platform. Like I'm everywhere. All you got to do is type in my name, and I'm the first person that comes up in Google. I don't think there's any other person that has my name, and so all my links will be there as far as like where you can hear my music, and if you want to get something personal like a CD, just go to my Facebook. That's probably the easiest way. Hit me up on the Messenger, or a comment or whatever. So I mean, yeah, that's really as far as like the music we're reaching my music. That's where you can get it. You know what I mean?
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, man. So here's a good one for you. Let me ask you this, man. What's something that not a lot of people know about you? Like even your closest people, man.
Man, I'm an open book, dude. Like I'm super open. Like I don't care. You know what I mean? But maybe some people might not know this. I'm a big fan of like Bruno Mars, Miley Cyrus, and like Michael Jackson, like that kind of pop music. I'm not like super crazy into it, but like I have a playlist with my favorite pop songs on it. It's not really like anything crazy, but
So along with like the harder metal and punk and juggalo music and stuff, and then you have your other playlists where you're listening to a lot of like Christian music and stuff, and then every now and then you just get in that mood, you want to listen to like some Miley Cyrus and Bruno Mars, huh?
Honestly, yeah, man. I'll be like, you and me, baby, making love like gorillas. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love that. I love that, or 24 karat. I love that stuff. Or not every single thing, obviously, but I got my favorites, man. I got my playlist. That's, you may not be aware of that. I like, when I was younger, Miley Cyrus or the Hannah Montana first came out. So like when I was way younger, like I was probably like maybe like late teens or something. So growing up watching Disney Channel, it's like, oh, I like that song, or I like this song, or then you end up getting the CD, or back then you had to buy the whole CD to get the one song. So you end up buying whatever song from that season you liked or whatever. Yeah. So that's kind of something that nobody. I love eating ice cream. I don't know. I think everyone loves ice cream though. I like to cook. I like to bake. I like baking. I like making. I like trying new things. So my wife actually got me into baking. Shout out to my wife Jody. She's been with me for the last 15 years. We've been married for 15 years this year.
Shout out Jody.
She's a cake decorator, and also we had a little cake business for a minute. So I would learn how to do certain things. I'd be like, hey, what about this type of thing, or what about this? So every year, like around Christmas and every year around Christmas, I'll make like empanadas, like from scratch. I'll make the dough. I'll make the pumpkin. You know what I mean? Like I'll bake the pumpkin and make the filling from scratch. I like making like breads. We like doing like baking our own cookies, and it's something I do with my wife that we really enjoy, and we try different things together. And I mean, if you're let me just give this little tidbit of advice to any husbands that are listening out there. I don't know if that's even your audience, but I'm gonna give it to you anyway. If you really want to have a good relationship with your wife or with your girlfriend, try some of the things that she's into. You never know, you might like them. Not only that, but that makes her closer to you, and you build on that. So little tidbit for those who are in a relationship. It's, you never know, you might get really good at it also, and or like I like to try different things, man. Like I said, so and it's all because of her, and now we do things together, and it's something we both enjoy together, and it makes our relationship stronger.
Nice. Yeah, you seem like a really open, likable, nice, upfront guy. You don't seem like you have too many problems with any people or things or anything, man. But
So, man.
what are some things that you don't like? What's some stuff that pisses you off, man?
Well, what makes you really upset is when youngsters, like teenagers, young people, when they think they know it all. That really makes me upset because I know that they don't, and they don't, when they don't want to listen to reason, and they think
Yeah,
they're, or
believe me, I know that from experience, man. I look back at myself in the past. I'm like, man, I was stupid as hell back then. Like, I know
so
so much more now. And then I know in 20, 30 years, I'm going to be like, man, I was stupid back then. Like,
yeah. So one of the things that I've learned growing up too. Like I said, I had a life where I had to grow up quickly, so I missed a lot of the childhood stuff. As far as like being carefree, and I always had to watch out whether my dad was gonna act crazy tonight, or whether I had to take off, or whether I had to talk to police that night. So I grew up where I didn't really have much of a childhood, so that matureness stuck in me from that point on. And so like when I see kids that are acting dumb, and I know where they're heading, it's like, hey man, take a listen, give me an ear real quick, because I'm trying to steer you in the right direction. They're like, I know what I'm doing. Forget that. It's like, I don't need to listen to you. What do you know? It's like, well, I know a lot, son. I've been through quite a bit. You know what I mean? But that kind of makes me upset. But I understand too that they're young, and a lot of like I said, youngsters, they make foolish decisions. But I try to be a what was that? It's all champagne. Hi. Okay, I'm gonna say hi to you. Thanks for tuning in.
hi, Champagne.
um, so anyway, that's one of the things that makes me upset. But people who don't think before they talk, that makes me upset. Like I don't get like crazy mad, or when somebody knows that they're doing something wrong to somebody and they still choose to do it anyway and manipulate people, that makes me pretty upset. So I don't even get mad at petty stuff. I get stuff that really hurts people's lives. And when I see people that are manipulating somebody, and they're purposely manipulating people, and they know that they can, that really makes me mad. Because it's
Yeah.
like, that's like a snake mentality. You know what I mean? Like they lure you in just so they can feed off of you. And I don't like when people do that to other people. I work with special needs kids, man, and you'd be surprised, man, how many other kids who are quote unquote normal try to take advantage of their their situation, and that really makes me upset. That's when I got to step in and say something. And so that kind of thing makes me upset, man. When people are hurting people on purpose, and so it's not something you see all the time, but when you do see it, man, it makes me furious. Not to the point where I'm gonna like hurt somebody, but I definitely am gonna step in. So I'm sorry if you hear my dogs in the background, man. I don't know if you can or not, but I'm sorry.
There's a little bit.
But
It's okay.
that's what makes me upset. That's what really makes me mad. Um, things in the past that used to make me upset don't make me upset anymore. Like I've lost money. People have, people have taken stuff from me, but I'm like, hey, maybe you needed it more than I did. I'm blessed, man. So
Yeah.
like, I don't look at life in a negative way. My outlook in life is, if they took it from me, they may have needed it more than I did, and I know that God's gonna bless me anyway. That's my worldview, bro. That's what I live by. So, even if I lose something, it's like, it's material. Like I've lost CDs. People have taken CDs from me. It's like, whatever. It's not like I'm losing anything but material. I'm really more concerned with the beyond. So even if I lose stuff, man, like it doesn't really make me upset. I don't like fighting with my wife. That doesn't really make me upset at her. It just makes me upset at the situation. But that's like, the regular stuff. But it's stuff that you get over, that I get over rather quickly. I know how to let go of certain things. I don't hold on to stuff. I don't hold on to grudges. I don't hold on to those negative feelings, man. I let them go.
Yeah, man, you don't
So,
seem like the type of person to hold on to things at all. You seem like just overly, extremely positive.
yeah, man, I try to be, dude. Like
I
the
mean,
way
I
I
guess it
feel,
comes
like
with the territory being a preacher, but
you know that the way that I look at it, yeah, man, I mirror my life according to what Jesus would do, and I know it's kind of a cliche thing, maybe not cliche to the audience that you have, but I know in the Christian world, it's like everyone had the wristbands, the shirts. What would Jesus do? They have that displayed on them, but some of them don't even really try to do what Jesus did, which is offer forgiveness and extend your hand and things like that. So I'm off for helping people. Like I said, I don't hold grudges because life is too short for that nonsense. And if you're gonna help somebody, you can't help somebody if you're holding a grudge. And if I can help somebody in any way, I will. And maybe it may not be money wise, because I'm not rich by any means, but I am rich in support, and I'm rich in other like emotional support and things like that. And I try my best to offer as sound advice to people who are in a desperate situation and give hope to people, because I know life can get hopeless, and I've been there, but I know that there, like I said earlier, is that you don't have to stay in that place.
yeah. All right, man. So let's see. Before we go, man, we'll wrap it up with a few more questions, unless anybody in the
Sure.
comments wants to ask you anything specific. Let me say, man, do you have any tips for any upcoming musicians, upcoming preachers, upcoming people trying to do what you're doing?
Musician wise, be humble. Don't think you know everything. Don't think, I mean, it's good to have some confidence when you're in your musicianship, whether you're a rapper, whether you're a guitar player, singer. It's good to have confidence. But if you go into an arena where you think that you're the greatest thing of all time, no one's going to want to work with you. You're not going to really connect well with people. Be open to talking to people. Um, be the first one at the concert and the last one to leave. Shake hands with people. Be humble, because again, nobody's gonna want to work with you if you're a jerk. You know, no one's you're gonna build up a reputation where no one's gonna want to buy merch from you. Nobody's gonna want to talk to you. Nobody's gonna want to approach you, and then you're gonna feel all sad because nobody wants to do nothing with you because you're a jerk. Like you're just a bum. You know what I mean? Like your attitude's terrible. So that, as far as musician wise, as far as preachers, if you really are in the want to be a preacher, first you need to be a Christian and a real Christian. So that means you need to study the Word of God, study the words of Jesus, study the life of Jesus, study read the whole Bible. You have to know the whole Bible. Maybe not like every single word for word by heart, but you need to know it, because you can't help it. I'm gonna take a line from Walk the Line. I don't know if you ever seen that. It's a movie about Johnny Cash. So
Yeah.
he was talking to his brother when he's little, and uh, uh, his brother, he tells his brother, he goes, well, every story in scripture. He's like, well, I have to. How am I supposed to offer people something if I don't know where to pull it from in the Bible? So as a preacher, you need to be well versed in biblical studies. That doesn't mean you have to go to school. That just means you have to learn. You have to be a disciple. You have to be a learner. You have to be somebody who is given to the Word of God, so you know exactly what to say to give somebody hope, or to give somebody, I say correction, but that's not really correction. Like to give advice, good
Yeah.
advice that'll help them along the way. And then also being humble even in that arena, because being on stage can give anybody a big head. And if you have a big head, no one's going to want to be around you. Again, you'll be a jerk, and you don't want to be a jerk preacher. You want to be approachable. You want people to come to you for advice. Just today, man, I was talking to a kid, 14 years old, giving him some insight on my life, and he's like, "Man, I'm going through the same thing." So I was able to tell him, "Hey, man, like hang in there, and be open to certain aspects as far as the Word of God." And he's like, man, I'm glad you told me that, because I really need to hear that today. So, both in both cases though, don't be a jerk. Simple
You
as
know,
it may sound, be more like Jesus. So,
I'm gonna kind of challenge your ideology on that, man. You said, if you want to be a preacher, don't be a jerk. But I kind of feel like, on the contrary, most comedians, stand-up comedians, are jerk preachers, right?
yeah, I guess it's all in the delivery though. They're comedians though.
Yeah, yeah. I
I
mean, they
mean,
don't call
it's a
themselves
different avenue.
preachers, but
It's a different avenue. I understand what you're saying though. Matter of fact, man, I love comedy. One of the things that excuse me, one of the things that's being under attack, man, is freedom of speech. And like you're saying though, they do tell a lot of truth, and but in a way that some people don't want to hear. And that same way preaching is too. There's a lot of truth being told. It's just that some people don't want to hear it. Now, there's a different way that you can approach it. So I get what you're saying though. Like I totally agree on those things. There's people who tell truth, and comedians do tell a lot of truth. It's just the delivery. If you're in a church setting, you probably don't want to be a jerk. If you're out in a club and there's a bunch of dudes who want to hear about cutting necks and stuff, maybe you might be a little jerkish. You want to come with a little bit more attitude, but bring the same message.
yeah. I mean, hey, man, maybe I just opened a new door for you. You can
Stand up
go
comedy,
on,
man. I'm too
yeah,
serious
go
to
on
do
to stand-up
comedy.
comedy.
I'm too serious to do comedy, man. I'm not really funny. I've thought about it too, though. I've thought
You
like,
just
man,
gotta
I
be a
don't.
jerk a little bit. Throw a little pinch of jerk in there. You got
Yeah,
it.
I might need to do some. Yeah, I might need to work on it. I don't know. I thought about it though. Me and a friend of mine named Clado were like, why don't we do a stand up set? And I'm like, I don't really know how to do that. But I mean, it's not like I won't be able to. I'm just saying it's like it's not my avenue. But I feel like maybe I might if I practice it enough. But I
Yeah,
get you though,
maybe
man. I
maybe
hear.
try to find a way, just how you did the horrorcore and turned it into Christian horrorcore. Maybe you could take like that raunchy, crazy stand-up comedy, the dirtiest stuff, but make that in a Christian way.
Maybe, man. I have to really research on that, man. But that's a good suggestion, though.
I mean, what do they say? If there's a will, there's a way, right?
Yeah, that's what my
So
dad always used to say too.
yeah. So let's see, man. What's your favorite food?
I love food, man.
I
On the
love
cool,
food
like
too.
my favorite of all time would be lasagna. I'm kind of like Garfield up in here. I like lasagna. I love spaghetti. I love pizza. And then that's like I feel like I'm Italian, even though I'm Mexican. I feel like I'm Italian sometimes, man. I feel like I was brought up in the wrong culture. Um, but I love Italian food, and then after that will be probably like tacos. I just like regular. I really like as far as tacos, beef, like ground beef with avocado and cheese and green sauce, salsa verde. So like that's one of my like if I go to a place and I don't know like what to order, like y'all got beef tacos, you got picadillo, y'all got avocado. I'm good with that. I'm straight. Give me some cheese and salsa verde. I'm good. So
Yeah,
those
I mean,
those
tacos are great, man. So
yeah.
easy to make, so quick, so delicious. Like, can't really go wrong with
For
tacos.
sure, man. I grew up with that, man. Conchas, conchitas. I love that fideo. So I'm definitely I like all the comfort, the Mexican comfort foods. Except for I don't like menudo, but I do like like conchas and fideo. I like enchiladas. That stuff like that, man. I'm super simple, bro. Like I'm not
Yeah,
hard to please. Like I really am. Like I'm not hard to please, but I do love those things. Like I love Italian food the most. I think. I could eat Italian food every day if I could.
yeah. I mean, what specific Italian food we talking about here?
Well, like lasagna, different pastas. I love pasta. Spaghetti is really one of the things I love to eat. And of course, I'm not gonna eat that every day. I'll probably eat that once a month. I'm really trying to watch my weight. Like I've lost a lot of weight
It's
since.
hard, man. I'm trying to watch
Uh,
my way too. That shit is
yeah, so
difficult.
it's almost like you gotta more than just exercise. You gotta really watch what you eat. Like if you're like even if you eat a little bit of something, it's a lot because your body will absorb it in a certain way. And so I've done research on like, what times to eat, what to eat. Um, I try not to drink sugary drinks unless I'm like out to eat with somebody, um, like socially. If not, I'll drink water. I like sparkling water, sugar-free stuff. Like I said, man, I'm real super bland sometimes. Like I love water. That's my favorite drink, like of all time, is water and different flavors of water, but like sugar-free stuff. Um, like my go-to drink at a restaurant would be Arnold Palmer. I like lemonade and sweet tea. But that's only if I'm out with somebody and I want to be like a quote unquote social drinker with something with sugar, not drinking alcohol, but a social drinker with something with sugar in it. That way, I don't seem like I'm lame or something.
Yeah.
But like, I try not to do sugary stuff. But yeah, man, I like sparkling water. I like that Liquid Death. If you ever drank that, I really love that. It's like super crisp water. I like
Yeah, I
the
like
mango
Liquid
chili
Death, but
sauce.
I like LaCroix better.
Oh, okay. I don't think LaCroix. I've never had that. Like in Austin, it's real close to where I'm from. I used to deliver groceries, and everybody in Austin drinks that LaCroix water. I'm like, man, what's the big old hype about this? But it's super expensive around here. So, like I've never had any. But I like like budget brands like the HEB brands and the Walmart brands and stuff. I
Yeah,
really like Great Value
I
sparkling
tell you,
water.
we talking about a cheap drink to drink that's fucking nice and
That,
tasty. This is a good
that's it
one right
right
here.
there. Yeah,
Arizona,
that's
look,
it, man.
boom, right on
Yeah,
the can,
99 cents.
99 cents. You
Yeah,
can't
I
go
was
wrong
gonna
with
say,
that,
man, if
man.
if Arizona ain't selling it for 99 cents no
I'm gonna
more,
get
there's a
copyright
problem.
infringement now from that.
But yeah, man, I love their Arnold Palmers and all their drinks too. Their grape aid's really good. Their orangeade, I love that stuff too. If I'm drinking
Yeah,
something sugary, that's one of the go-tos.
we're gonna have to go back in there and edit this out before Arizona
Um,
sues me. Like
um,
I ain't got that kind of money to pay Arizona.
right? Asking for an endorsement. Maybe they'll hook you up.
Yeah, see,
Like, hey,
now I'm
endorse
screwed
the
up because I said they're
XSP
gonna
because I
sue me.
love that stuff,
I should have said this interview has been brought to you by Arizona and held the can up
right?
and shined it in the light and stuff.
There
Like
you go.
maybe they would have paid me not even knowing that we didn't talk. You know.
There you go. There you go. Um,
So we've been talking for an hour and 12 minutes, man, and I've been
it's a long
asking
time.
you
It
a
doesn't even
ton of
seem like that
questions.
long.
It
It
doesn't.
don't
It
seem like
really
that
doesn't.
long.
It's just a great conversation, great talk. But
Yeah, man.
here's my thing. In this hour and 12 minutes, almost 13 minutes that we've been talking, I've asked you a ton of questions here, and you've been giving some damn good answers. I want to change things up a little bit, man. I want to know
Yeah.
if there's any questions you want to ask me or ask the people that are watching in the chat because they can hop on
Yeah.
here and comment too. You got any questions for everybody else?
Um, man, what have you been up to, man? Like, are you still putting out music? I know you're still putting out music, but what's your latest contribution to the musical history, to Texas musical
Um,
history, the world's musical history?
well, I have a CD that's dropped. Well, it's not an actual physical CD. It's on Spotify, iTunes, all that kind of stuff. Dropping on the 28th. It's called The Lost Tapes from Hope DMI and Autopsy Room. Me and my
Okay.
group.
Yeah.
And it's seven or eight songs on this album that I'm dropping that are all released between about 2013 and about 2019 that were never like released on any kind of platforms or anything like that. Just stuff I've been holding on to in my vaults.
Yeah. There you go.
And so that's coming out in the next few days. My band Infected Meat, we just dropped a cover of a Ramones song, Cretin
Okay.
Hop.
I saw
That's
the
also,
advertisement that I haven't heard it yet. I want to hear it though.
yeah, man, it's available everywhere. You just hop on YouTube, Spotify, whatever your musical platform is that you use. Type in "Infected Meat Cretin Hop." We're gonna pop up. And
All
same
right.
thing goes with my music. You type in Hulk DMI, I'm the only thing you're gonna find. Just like when you type in Extreme Street Preacher, there's no
What
other Extreme Street Preachers. There's no other Hulk DMIs.
There you go. Unique individuals over here.
Yeah.
Where does that what genre is Infected Meat? Like what how would you describe
Oh,
that how would you describe that style or whatever it is you do with the Infected Meat? Because I've never heard it. And I like to know.
That's actually a really good question, man, because me and my friend Colton Primo started the band. And our ideas of starting the band Infected Me was that I'm over here doing all my stuff by myself, making my videos, making my beats, doing everything solo, managing myself, doing everything by myself. Colton, he's doing the same thing, but where I'm doing it with like mostly rap music, a little bit of rock here and there. I kind of have like a Tech Nine, 3 6 Mafia kind of thing going on. Colton's over here doing the same thing, but in the metal world, and all the music that he's putting out, he's doing the artwork. He's doing all his stuff. He's playing guitar, bass, drums, vocals, doing everything. So we thought with him being a one-man band, me being a one-man band, let's come together, and we're two people that can, kind of do everything in the band, whatever we want to do for whatever song,
Right.
And now with this newest release, we just added a third member to the band, Ben Nelson. And he, much like me and Colton, can play every instrument, can do vocals, so we're all very well-rounded. Ben's thing, though, he's a lot into like alternative rock and stuff like that, and a lot into like country and folk music. So now we're taking the aspects of country, folk, alternative, metal, punk, grunge, rap, horrorcore, that kind of shit. We're blending it all together into one band. So we're releasing like a punk song here, a metal song here, a rap song here, some folky, like Renaissance Festival type stuff here, and we're doing all kinds of different stuff as one band.
Okay. You know what that sounds like to me? I don't know if you ever heard of Hank the Third.
Yeah.
Hank Williams the Third. That's kind of like what he does. Not so much the rap, but definitely like a little bit of punk, a little bit of hillbilly, a little bit of metal. It kind of sounds like that, and that's cool, man. It sounds like a good project you got going on.
Yeah, and that's also, with all my interests that I have in different music, a lot of people think, oh, you're a rapper, so you just listen to rap. Nah, man, I listen to more rock than I do rap, but I also listen to country and techno and blues, and I listen to all kinds of stuff. So it's cool to put that in my music,
As a well-rounded musician, you should be able to listen to all those different things, put them in a funnel, and the stuff that you come out should be all that mixed together.
Yeah,
and that's
it's
cool, man.
after all these years to finally figure out how to do it myself, with all the genres I like and not just one,
Well,
like I'm trapped in a box.
Speaking of that, man, like not before I came on the show today, but like when we reconnected, I was like, man, let me go back and listen to some of this stuff. And there was a song that you did called "Gonna Rock," and I love that song. Because I love the sample that's in there. It's from "Rock Around the Clock" from Bill Haley, and it's like, we're gonna rock, we're gonna rock. And I was like, oh man, like, because I grew up on 50s music too. Like my dad would play records all the time, Elvis and all kinds of stuff. So like, I don't know, man. I thought that was cool. That's what really, like, I was like, oh man, this guy's on something different. And then even some of your other, like, I know you gave me a CD when we first did a show together. I can't remember when it was, probably like around 2008 or 9. You were passing out CDs, and I was listening to some of the sample work. I'm like, man, this is cool. Like some of the stuff, like you wouldn't normally hear that in somewhere else. On the radio, you won't hear them mixing genres like that. And but you were mixing a lot of different stuff, and that's one of the things I was like, man, let me say, keep my ear to this guy. And then I remember you even did a show, like you did a couple, or not a show, but like maybe some YouTube videos of you kind of trying to teach how to sample. And I was like, man, I wanted to learn, but I never really quite got on.
That was early, man. That stuff ain't even available anywhere anymore.
That's what I'm saying.
Deleted forever.
That's how long ago, man, that I've been down. You know what I mean? So those are cool, man. I think you should bring those back, because I think the platforms like TikTok and stuff like that, they would love that. They live off content like that. I've seen people who do videos like that where they teach how to sample, or they, be like this certain band in 30 seconds, and they start showing you how to do all this stuff or whatever. People love that kind of content. Even I have TikTok videos too. I don't have how-to videos, but I got like inspirational message videos. But like I think that people are craving that kind of content where, if it's like 1 minute long and they get like so much out of 1 minute or whatever, out of 3 minutes. And that's cool. I think it's awesome you even know how to sample like that, because like I said, when you were doing those videos, I was like trying to follow along. It was like when I was first started messing with Fruity Loops. I don't really use Fruity Loops much anymore, but like when I
That's
was
where
like,
I started out.
yeah,
I
and it
mean,
was like,
that's what I still use, but that's where I started out. I've transitioned into using a couple other platforms here and there, to make my music. But I started out with Fruity Loops, and I'm currently using Fruity Loops again. So
yeah.
it's a
So
great
like,
program
yeah,
for making beats.
I'm saying, man, like, and I was like, man, I want to do it like that, but I never quite learned how to do it. I need someone to really show me how to sample. But since I know how to play guitar, I'm like, I'll just play the thing. But then, it's even so, it's like I'll just learn how to play it. But then learning that you can't just sample anybody, because you'll get sued or something. And I was like, oh, I'll just come up with something similar, but in a different key or something.
Yeah.
So anyway, but
Yeah, there's a
that's
little
awesome,
trick
man.
to it. What I've kind
That's
of
one of the
learned as
things that,
far as sampling and not getting in trouble for it, I guess you could say, is I use a very very short bit of the song, short enough to where it can't be picked up and I guess infringed, you
yeah,
know.
yeah. No, yeah, I hear you.
So
Yeah, man. So that was one of the things that really was like cool. I thought back in the day, it was like, man, this dude can sample really well. He's really good at it. And like I haven't heard any of your new stuff, but I'm sure it's even better. So, um, yeah, man. I don't know how
yeah, I
many
mean,
more like,
where all that came from, just a little breakdown, like I was raised by my grandma who she listened to a lot of like older like outlaw country type stuff, like Hank Williams, Merle Haggard, George Jones, Johnny Cash, like
there you
she
go.
listened to that. Then I spent a whole lot of time around my mom who listened to a lot of like Motley Crue and like hair metal, that type stuff, and more like rock music like Foo Fighters, stuff like that. And my stepdad who listened to a lot of like techno and like British like alternative new wave shit like the Smiths, The Cure, stuff like that. So and then on my own, I'm over here like finding out about like Sublime and finding out about like Tech Nine and ICP and stuff like that and different like punk bands like Rancid and all that, and that's all like sticking on me, so all these influences coming from everywhere, and then the stuff that I just get myself, eventually I'm like, man, I want to start making music, but I'm like, okay, what the hell do I make? So I kind of fell into rap, but when I fell into rap, I'm like sampling all these like punk songs and like new wave songs and stuff in my rap music.
Yeah, man.
So,
And that's one of the
and
things
it's
that was
it's like
cool.
you were
Like,
saying about playing a guitar, that's how I associate it with making a beat. Like when you're trying to learn how to play a guitar, you're just kind of messing with it till you get it. Well, that's the same thing with me making a beat. I just kept messing with it till I got it.
that's cool, man. I guess I'm not on that level as far as sampling. I mean, I know how to make beats. Um, yeah, man, it's just something cool when you can sample something because you kind of taking something that's familiar and making it unique and different. I think that's awesome. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who the hell said it, but I know I've seen it before a few times now. It's like if you spend a certain amount of hours at something, you become a professional or whatever. I think it's like if you
yeah,
spend 50,000 hours practicing something or doing something, you basically become a professional at that thing.
right. It
So
reminds me of I did a podcast with a guy named Steve Machines, and he's a trumpet player. And he said the way that he played trumpet was the method that he was using. He didn't realize it at the time, but later on he realized it was a Chinese method where you basically, like you said, give yourself a time wise to the instrument, and eventually you become very proficient at it. So
yeah,
like it's almost like the amount of time you put in is what you're going to get out. And I guess that's the same thing with that kind of like with sampling. I guess I'm very even with guitar. If I don't get it right off the bat, I won't even try to do it anymore. I guess I'm just impatient. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like if I can't grasp it like right there and then I'm like, I'll just put it down. I'm not gonna try this anymore. But
Or I mean, you just tell yourself right when you pick it up, man, I got that. Like that sounded great. Trick yourself, and
there
then
you go.
the more you go on, the better it's gonna sound.
Maybe so.
Yeah.
I don't know. I got to dip into different things, man. That's cool though. I really like again. I really do admire that kind of musicianship, that kind of technologically soundness of different people, man. And that's one of the things that what I like about Isham's beats too is like, and this was like, you're hearing like what is it, Alice Cooper, and it's like that sounds like it, but it's also manipulated where it sounds different. And
Yeah.
it's like, that's cool. So I think it's awesome when people can do that.
Yeah, Isham is a very unique and strange musician, and it's really cool to me that you being a Christian artist that you enjoy Isham so much.
Yeah, well, not so much lyrical content, but definitely like production wise and delivery wise and creativity. So I know that I'm not obviously I'm not always for the message of I want really, to be quite honest, I'm in odds with the message of horrorcore, but I do like the presentation, if that makes sense, and the delivery and the techniques that are used in the genre. But yeah, again, when it comes to my own personal music, obviously I'm not gonna go full on talk about massacring people. Like I'll talk about something different, but definitely the presentation is something that I gravitate towards.
I mean, do you think that there would ever be a point in time where you would want to work with an artist like Isham?
I think if we can meet somewhere in the middle, then yeah, because me and Scum have talked about doing a song together, and it's like because I've done a couple states with Scum, and he comes to Texas quite a bit, so we've developed a friendship. And
Yeah,
shout out to Scum if he's listening out there, but like we've talked and we'll be in between sets or we'll be outside and we're talking about musical influences and life influences, and it's like I feel that we have enough um, common ground to do a song. Actually, we have done a song together. Take that back. It's
oh,
called
shit.
Respect. It's called Respect. Now, I'd say I did a song with him, but he had like an open verse kind of challenge,
Oh,
and
okay.
where he talked about doing. He has the song called Respect, and it's basically about how underground artists. You give respect to an underground artist because they're putting their hearts out there, and obviously I came with the angle that I did, and but also he came with his angle, but they're middle ground songs. You know what I mean? Like they're like everybody has their own idea of respect. So, or especially respecting the grind that somebody has to even go outside of their own house and to wreck mics and to
Yeah.
wreck stages. You got to have some guts to do that. And actually, Insane Poetry was one of the ones who really, what do you call it? Really talked me into continuing to do that style. I did a show with my first show outside of a church. I did on the first album for Triple MFD, and I opened up for Triple MFD, and I actually met Insane Poetry that night, and we chopped it up for a little before the show even started, and then when I got on, they were like, what in the world is this? Because obviously it's a horrorcore show. One of the extreme sides of horrorcore, which is LSP. They're definitely on the side of extreme. And I'm over here doing gospel but rap, but in a similar style. And they were almost like, what in the world is this? But when they got on stage, they were like, yo, props to this dude right here for having the grapefruits to get up here and wreck this. So I was like, oh, maybe I'm doing something right. You know what I mean? And so if a legend like that can connect with what I'm doing, even though he's from a totally different world, then I'm sure I can connect with other people too and inspire. So, like I said, so I've been able to work, like even do shows with guys like Lex the Hexmaster, Blaze You Dead Homie. I've done stuff with Scum and Same Poetry, Ex Murder Boys, stuff like that, and even like Ala Zualu, Axe from Magic Ninja, and they've all given me respect, and I respect them when they're on the stage. I may not be totally for their message, or really not for their message a lot of times, but I do respect the fact that they're getting up there and doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
I'm doing what I do, and they give me the respect that I deserve when I'm up on stage, and I give them the respect they do when they're on stage. That's their time, but when it's my time on stage, I'm gonna do what I do, and
Yeah.
I think that I've gained a lot of respect in the underground because of that.
Exactly. Nice, man. Well, I mean, before we go, is there anything else you want to tell everybody about?
Yeah, I got a new album dropping probably maybe at the end of this week if everything goes well. If not, not the end of this week, obviously, because it's already the end of the week. But the end of the when Monday starts that week, or if the distributor, if DistroKid takes long, it might be a little bit after, but it's definitely within the next 2 weeks. Um, it's called Let There Be Light. It's a continuation of my album called Extreme Brilliance. And it's definitely like when there's dark times, there's always light. Light. When light shines, the darkness goes away, and that's basically what it's about. I got some features on there from Triple P. I got Red Face Movement, Jay Payne on there, and I also got Nino Light on there. And those are some features. All the production is done by myself. It's mixed and mastered by Jay Payne. And it's kind of like an EP. There's probably about 10 songs on it. It's I dig it, man. It's one of the best things I've done thus far. It's all positive. Everything has there's no like horrorcore style stuff, or a little bit. I have a song called "Oh Snap" where I talk about putting devil bodies in the trunk. But it's definitely more on the positive side and trying to stay positive. The light, bringing light, basically. So that's gonna be coming out here pretty soon. Like I said, within the next 2 weeks, and I have physical copies maybe a little after. But it's almost done. I just need a feature and the mastering, and yeah, man, it's some of the best stuff I've done. I produced it. Like I said, I made all the beats. It's gonna be good, man. Keep it out. Listen to it on whatever streaming platform you like, and or if you want a physical CD, hit me up, and I'll do my best to get them out there.
Nice. I want to try something real quick because I have the live stream going on behind me, and I want to see if the camera looks into itself. Are we gonna have like an endless fucking mirror over here? We're on like a time delay, so we might have to wait a second before it does it. But I want to know what's gonna happen.
Maybe.
It'll do it.
Hey,
eventually.
I got a question for you, man. Do you still do shows? You still do live shows, concerts?
Man, I have not done a show in I want to say about 4 or 5 years now. It's been a while for me.
Okay.
Yeah, I mainly just been kind of concentrating on life, taking care of my daughter, and I've still been doing music, but I've been more just making music and not like showing people my music. You know what I'm saying?
I got you. Yeah.
And I kind of went for a while there where I didn't want to make music anymore, but I came back.
I was talking with another guy, man, who's been doing music for a while, named Gifted 39. We're talking about how sometimes, man, in the music world, really all the time, you got to take care of your personal life before you can do anything else. Because if not, everything else is going to fall apart. And
it wasn't really as much that. It was more so just the fact that I've been making music since I was 14, 15 years old, and now I'm 32 years old. And after all the years that I've been doing it, all the work that I've put into it and everything, I've had little spikes here and there where I've got to open for big artists, and I've had my music played on different radio station sites, whatever you want to call it, things like that. But I'm still not in the area where I thought I was going to be when I started all those years ago. So that's why I was kind of like, maybe this just isn't for me, but it's also something that I enjoy doing. I didn't do it just so I could get on a certain level. Like, I did it because I liked it. And after me not doing anything for a while, it took that for me to realize, hey, it's something that I enjoy doing. So what if I just do it for myself, and still let people see it and hear it, but just do it for me instead of trying to please everybody else, Yeah.
And this music world, man, you really don't know who is listening. That's kind of the hard thing about it a lot of times. Unless you're like, unless you're backed by this label that tells you, hey, you're being heard here or there, or they're pushing it with big money, where more people can hear it. So you really don't know who's hearing it. And I've been through those stages too, man, where I'm like, man, I'm just going to focus on my book, or I'm just going to focus on writing. I'll do another avenue of creativity. But man, I would say just keep doing music, man. I love it. I love it when other people do it too. You know what I mean? Like when I see people that I've known for quite a bit and and they're still doing it, that makes me happy. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a big fan of just music in general, dude. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't care if nobody else is listening to it. Even I don't care if it's popular. You know, if I like it, I like it, and that's all that matters to me. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and I know a lot of artists. Like, there's this group on Spotify that I found, and they don't have no listeners, but I've actually found them on Bandcamp, and I look for them on Spotify, and they have like 2 listeners. But I was like, man, this music is awesome. Like, why aren't people listening to this? But like, that's kind of like something like, it's a gem that I found. You know what I mean? And it's like, you know,
Yeah,
I
that
feel
hidden
like a lot of
treasure.
it's like I feel like a lot of the groups that I've seen over the years have kind of fell off, and it's like, man, you guys make good music, or like rappers, like they fell off. I'm like, hey, you were making really good music at the time. Like, what happened? Like, I'm still trying to listen. I'm still trying to hear y'all. Like, I got a collection of CDs that I've had over the years, man. Like, burnt CDs, like pretty good pressed up CDs, you know. And it's like, I still listen to those things. You know, some of them aren't even around anymore. And I'm like, man, what happened to these guys? And, you know, some of them just fell off.
Yeah.
But I think that, man, anybody should continue. I definitely support anybody that wants to make music and get their heart out there. But that's really a message to any musician, any rapper, any whatever. You know, you have talent and you have the means of recording. Put it out there, man. Like, more than likely, if I find it, I'll listen to it.
Yeah,
You know,
do
I
your
listen to all
thing,
kinds
man.
of, listen to all
Do what
kinds
you
of stuff.
do. Get that shit out there, and you know, nobody's gonna hear it. Nobody's gonna know about it until you make it. You know, until you put it
Exactly.
out there. So, you
Exactly.
know, why you sitting around for? Do some shit.
That's what I'm saying.
You
Get it
know,
out there, do
life's
something.
too short to waste.
I'm saying, man, that's why I continue to do it. Like, it's crazy. There's let me just I don't know. I know I've been talking for a long time, but I work with these special kids, right? And there's this one kid who loves music. He can't talk, and he has I'm not sure if he's hard of hearing or not, but he doesn't really he doesn't respond to every single bit of stimuli. But I showed him some of my heavy metal music, and he grabs the phone from me and he puts it up against his ear, and he's like just jamming. He loves it. Every
Yeah,
single, like, heavy stuff, and like real heavy metal music. And then he's just walking with it. He takes off with my phone, like, hey man, you need to come back with my phone. But, you know, like, he's loving it. He's 4 or 5 songs in, just loving it. And I'm like, man, if this kid loves this music so much, I'm just gonna continue to make music for him. You know what I mean? Like, if he loves it that much that he wants it all up in his ear, I will continue to make music. If nobody else listens, I'll make music for that kid. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I feel when it comes to making music. You know what I mean? And so I think other people should find that one person that loves their stuff and just keep making it for them, or even if for themselves. I love to hear my own music on big speakers. I mean,
yeah,
I can't front. I love making it. I love making music. I love listening to it. I like the process. I like the editing stuff. Like, everything. It gives me joy. It gives me satisfaction. It gives me a sense of completion. You know, getting everything out. And when you can think about something and all of a sudden it's in your hand, dude, it's like one of the greatest feelings ever. Like, knowing that you made this idea that's immaterial and you made it into the physical world. That's just crazy to me. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Blows your
So, like,
mind.
yeah. So, like, I'm real simple, man. Like, I look at things in a very simple way. And that's one of the things, like, to take an idea, like, you heard your own voice, you heard the beat, and you're formulating this thing, or you're making the artwork, and like everything is coming together exactly the way you wanted it. Man, like, there's no greater satisfaction than that. You took something that wasn't even there and you brought it into reality. To me, that's just insane. Like, have you ever even thought about that? Like, everything started as an idea, especially music. It was just an idea in your head. And it was, nobody could see it. Nobody, you couldn't even see it. You could hear it, but not with your audible ears, but you could hear it. And then you brought it out and made it appear into the physical world. If that ain't like supernatural, man, I don't know what is. You know
Yeah,
what
I
I
mean,
mean?
I
Like,
feel that way about a lot of stuff. I feel the
you
same
know,
way about cooking food, you know, and drawing pictures, making my kid. You
yeah,
know,
man.
it's like, I put this here, damn it. Like,
Yeah,
look
it's
what
a
I
great
did.
feeling. It's a great feeling, man.
Yeah. But
Cool, man.
all right, man. Well, we've been talking for an hour and 40 minutes. I think
I think this is
it's
your
about
longest show
time.
ever.
It is. It is, man. It's about an hour longer than my first episode, actually.
Oh wow.
But
Yeah, man.
so I think we should go ahead and about wrap it up, man. You want to
Sure.
let everybody know one more time where they can find you, where they can get your stuff?
All right. So again, on if you just Google me, the XSP, and there's like a hyphen, Extreme Street Preacher with an X, and all my musical streaming platforms will come up. If you want to reach me on Facebook, you just type in the search bar the same thing, the Extreme Street Preacher, the XSP Extreme Street Preacher. Yeah, on Instagram, I'm at the XSP 238, and I'm also on I'm on TikTok if you want to see like kind of like more inspirational style videos. If you want to learn a little bit like about the Bible, I do, or uplifting videos. I'm on TikTok at the XSP 238, and so those are like my main social interaction platforms. Or if you want to just reach me as a person, man, it's like a PEAJAY Garcia, PJ Garcia, and you can hit me up there. And I'm no diva, man. Like I'll talk to whoever. If you want to hit me up on Messenger, you just want to talk, like I'm down with it. I don't care. I love talking to people, man. I love people.
But
Love
you got to
God. I
send
love people.
$5 on Cash App first.
Yeah, there you go. Go on my Cash App. It's actually the XSP 238. Also, if you want to give me a little something, if you want to bless me. No, it actually is that. Actually, yeah. See, no, it's money sign the XSP 238 or something like that. Anyway, whatever. But anyway, man, yeah, man, that's where you can find me. I'm not hard to reach. I'm not super busy all the time. I make time for people. Like I said, I love people and I love God, man. I try to do my best to do both every day.
Nice. And all right, man, you got any shout outs? Anybody you want to shout out before we leave?
Yeah, man. Shout out to the LSP crew. They're one of the first secular groups that show me love. Shout out Texas Hatchet Cartel. They're a band promotion. They set up concerts. Austin Dewar with Texas Hatchet Cartel.
THC.
What's that? Yeah. There you go. I think you know what's up with them. So
Yeah, I
they're
know
one of the
Austin.
first ones. They're one of the first ones. One of the first ones who gave me kind of an open door. And then shout out to anybody who's ever bought a CD, bought a shirt. If you ever talked to me, took a picture of me, bought something from me, I really do appreciate it. Shout out to Red Face Movement, Jay Payne, Nino Light. They're going to be on my album. Shout out to Pierre Hunter, aka Triple P. They're going to be on the album, and they've been really connecting with me a lot, and as of late, trying to help me with more promotion and some different production type things as far as like quality. And just shout out to my wife Jody for putting up with me and giving me the time to away from her to do this podcast. And man, and you, dude, like, man, thank you for giving me a platform, man. Like
Yeah, man.
it's not
Thank you
every
for
day.
hopping on my show.
It's not every day that people are like, oh, let me interview the preacher, because that's a lot of times that's like kind of the way they come, like the preacher. That's what they say for short or whatever. Like it's not every day that people are like, oh, let me get him on and let me talk to that dude. I know
That's
that
my
people
favorite guest. I want to talk to the people that the other people aren't trying to talk to.
Yeah, so like it's funny, man. Like you'd be surprised, bro. And like it's like we like you, but we don't like you, or it's like we think you're cool, but we're not into your music, and that's cool, whatever, man. Like you just talk to me, bro. You'll dig me. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm a cool guy. I'm a really relaxed guy. I went from a real violent young man to a man who loves people, like really loves to just meet new people and talk to people and bring them hope, man. So don't be afraid of me, y'all.
Yeah.
So I think that's a misconception that I'm just gonna beat them over the head with the Bible, man. I'm not. I really want to learn about you. I want to know who you are, but I also want to give you some hope too, when you need it.
And if you don't listen, then he's gonna beat you in the head with a Bible.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Nah.
That's the extreme. That they didn't know that part. Now they do.
Now they do. Now they know. So when they approach me, they better approach me right. No, just kidding. I
Better
didn't
have
even
a
like
helmet
that. Nah. Yeah, man. I really appreciate you putting me on.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you coming on. And let's see, we got shout out to Ned and Spreader 17. I don't know if you're still here, but thank you for watching the show and commenting, asking XSP your questions.
Yeah.
Shout out to Bow in the comments. Shout out to It's All Champagne in the comments. Shout out to Sierra Garola in the comments. You guys are part of the whole DMI show. You help keep it going. You help make it what it is. You know, if I didn't have you guys, I wouldn't have that much of a show, right?
Yeah, man. So hey, shout out to all those people who, yeah, man, shout them out, and please give me a try. You never know, you might like something. I got all kinds of stuff. Yeah, man. So I'm looking forward to seeing how like I said, I'm looking forward to meeting people who want to hear me, and I want to hear everything. Go all those people, go check me out. Give me a chance. Give me a little bit in your ear. You might like it.
Yeah. And also a big shout out to XSP for hopping on the latest episode of the whole DMI show, man. It's been real fun sitting here talking with you for this last
records today.
few minutes, man.
Yeah, man. Cool.
It's been a short conversation, man. I I didn't want to talk to you too long, so I try to keep it short, you know.
No,
but,
I know. Dude, I can talk forever. I can talk for hours, bro. I really can.
Yeah, man.
Give me the right questions. I can talk for hours.
I could keep talking to you, but I think YouTube has limits, you know. So like,
I understand.
We don't want to keep it going for too many hours, you know. But honestly, though, man, it's been a great time talking with you and everything, man. I hope everybody that's watched the show tonight has learned, some stuff they didn't know. I hope they are interested in you and they go check you out, man. And I hope that the people that you have watching the show, your friends and family and stuff, I hope they've learned some stuff about you too, you know?
Yeah, man. That's good, man. I love platforms like this.
Yeah, man. But so yeah, man, this has been the Hulk DMI show. Appreciate all y'all. Appreciate you, XSP.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna call it a night. Before I leave, well, I guess it's while I'm leaving. I'm gonna leave y'all out with my brand new outro song. You know, my my girl told me that I shouldn't just like hang up the call because that's rude. So I made an outro video.
There you go.
So, all right, everybody. Good night. Thank you for watching, and this has been the whole DMI show.